My mother was very tough on me because my father passed away when I was 11. So she made me and shaped me as a man, which to me was very difficult for a woman to do without a father being around, but she did a good job. She was very strict. The first time my mother told me that she actually loved me, I was 32, and growing up, she couldn't handle the household financially. So I remember many months.
School. I had a younger sister, and I really didn't like doing the same things that she would do. She would do tea parties and play with dolls and things like that. And I was always outside looking at the clouds or the stars. And my sister was blonde, tall, and thin like my mother. And I was round and brown. I remember going through the family albums looking for my face in the old photographs, and I didn't see me. And eventually, when I
every day, and I cruise around San Diego County, and I search for folks in trouble on the freeway, and I rescue them. I carry spare parts, several different kinds of hydraulic jacks, a baby delivery kit, never had to use it. I had one fellow who was a scary-looking dude. He was muscle-bound, and he had tattoos. Well, he had a flat on his T-bird. I put the spare on the car. We shook hands, and I turned.
We were given fictitious names.
And yours was?
Melody.
And mine was Stella.
We were told, whoever we're going to room you with, you're not supposed to tell them your real name. But we broke that rule.
We did. I think the first thing we said to each other was, "What's your real name?"
Did you remember thinking of yourself as being a mother?
I didn't until I felt the baby move, especially at night.
Right.
That was the hardest time for me. During the day, we could occupy ourselves, and I didn't think about it so much.
I said, of all the people in your entire career, you want to thank me. It was the same feeling I had when my kids were born. And I started to cry. Made me feel really important that I had that influence on you. Lately, I almost am afraid to say that I'm a teacher to some people. But I'm not, because you called me. I'm a teacher, and I'm going to help as many people as I can.
The summer I ran away from home, I was 12. I fell into the hands of a woman. I was sitting in the park, and she just started talking to me. I was hungry and cold and young, and she took me to an apartment. Before I knew it, they put a wig on me, took me to the corner of 14th and I, and they sold me to a trafficker. I remember that day clearly like it was yesterday. He took me to New York, and that was the end of that, pretty much. For the next 9.
Jeremiah was a kid that was 6'6", 320 pounds. He had a tough time growing up sometimes. I mean, being awkward the way he was, and he was kind of left out a lot of ways. Really enjoyed photography, football. And if he thought a friend was in trouble, he walked 20 miles to find that friend, I'm very proud that he was my son.
He was a special needs young man, and he was being tormented by...
A veteran who had called 12 times. I said, "What are we not doing for you? I really want to help." And as we're talking, he goes, "Do you believe in anything?" And I said, "Well, you mean like God and afterlife and all of that?" And he says, "Yeah." And we got down to, "I killed people and I'm scared. Am I going to go to hell?" And we talked about that. he was.
I didn't want to be an actor just to be a dramatic actor. Getting into some kind of dramatic mood, that didn't seem to fit me too damn much. I'd either have to go out and fall off a horse or do a stunt fight. I've broken a couple of ribs here. I've had bruises. I lived pretty dangerously for 35 or 40 years there. I got in movie business in 1957. I was able to make all the leading men look good. And I even made a couple of girls look good, too.
That's it. I don't want to see you anymore. And he threatened. He said, oh, you'll be sorry for this. And sure enough, one night when I was leaving the house, I realized I was being followed. And I walked back and I started to say to him, you have to stop following me. And I didn't see the gun and I didn't hear the bullet. I was shot. It was in the throat. And the bullet exited my back. On the way between the front and the back, it did its damage. I have a spinal cord injury.
You feel like being gay is like a virus. It's like you have to get rid of this because this is what you're doomed for. And I remember I thought, well, I can, of course, behave like a straight man. When I had come home sophomore year, I saw on the fridge a magnet. And on the magnet was a rainbow heart that says, love is spoken here. It's part of what we had to go through to get to where we are today. And for that, I'm not only forgiving, I am grateful.
Like the day the train stopped on us.
Yeah, it was like 8 a.m. I was on my way to work.
There was no power. So I walked through the whole train. I walked from front to back because I knew somebody would be nervous. And passengers were saying to me, it's Friday the 13th. I said, well, we're alive. Somebody didn't wake up on Friday the 13th and would have loved to have been on this train. So it's a good day for us.
You really made everybody on that train connect. We all started talking with each other like human beings. And
10 or 11 years old, I knew that I needed and wanted to be a dad. I figured it would all just happen. I'd meet the girl of my dreams and I'd get married and we'd have babies. A little kink in that story was that I realized I was gay. And I would be at parties and I would just say, oh, by the way, if you know of any women who would be interested in having a child with me, give them my number. And my friend, Scotty, said to me, I'd met this woman and
I was so angry that life had done to you what it had done to me. You know, I myself had a tattoo of my ex's name, and he'd make constant references to it all the time, that he owned me. This is a person who locks his arms around your legs at night and you have to ask for permission to use the restroom. So, you know, it's not just a tattoo. It's like being in a car accident. Every time you pass that intersection, you remember the impact.
As a freshman at Bowdoin College, not only was he older than the other students, but he was raising his infant daughter, Olivia.
I wasn't planning on having you as my roommate. I actually thought that if Bowdoin College knew I had you, they wouldn't let me come to college. So I hadn't mentioned it to anyone. And I got a job working at Staples, cleaning at night. I had to take you in with me at work sometimes and hide you in the closet.
Everybody would come to the house to see my mama, and they would talk and talk. And I remember as a teenager getting up in the night, and it'd be 3 o'clock in the morning, and my mother would be sitting at the table with somebody that had a sad, sad story, and she'd listen to everybody. I remember seeing this. She had her chin on her hand with one eye open. She was so tired. And somebody would be telling her a story and she'd be going, uh-huh, baby. Yeah, I understand. And she was very beautiful.
I remember trying to breathe and I just felt like real hot, like I was on fire. They were dragging me on the sand and there was rocks there. So when they were dragging me, I felt the rocks against my skin and my legs, and it hurt, but I couldn't scream. And so I just remember laying there, feeling the hot sun, and then feeling the wind from the helicopter coming in. And the doctor said, "You'll be home soon." I didn't even recognize myself. After the first time I saw myself in the mirror, that's when I just broke down.
My boyfriend grabbed the bat, and I could see from the back seat the bat being swung, a man falling to the ground, and then everybody running. The man died. He was born in Ethiopia and had a son, but we just saw black. After the murder, I ended up going to a girls' reformatory, and
I don't exactly know what I feel. My heart definitely is beating faster. Like, I'll be having a really great day, and all of a sudden my body will decide, hey, guess what? I'm going to ruin your perfect day for you. It almost feels like there's some extraterrestrial being taking control of me and making me do all these crazy things. I feel powerful, like I have control, and yet I don't. The thing is, people can't actually understand.
Thomas worked more than 20 years at the Brentwood Post Office in Washington, D.C. When he would get off work, he would get home in the early morning, and we would go out to eat breakfast at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I remember at some point he said he wasn't feeling well. We went to the doctor, and the doctor said it sounded like flu symptoms. And one